Hello! Welcome to your first video on the legislative branch. This will cover chapters 5, 6, and 7 in your textbook, and we'll get started. So our essential questions for this unit, we want to talk about how the United States legislative branch functions. We want to look at the essential steps in the bill to law process. We also want to talk about how the legislative process can be stalled and the other responsibilities other than making laws that Congress has. So today we're going to look at how the United States Congress functions. So just a little bit of review for you. Hopefully this is review. We've got the bicameral legislature. In the United States, we have a bicameral legislature, which means that we have two houses. Okay, that prefix bi means two. So we have the House of Representatives and the Senate. Those two together make Congress, and Congress is our lawmaking or legislating body. This is a term you're probably unfamiliar with. A congressional session, you need to know that that is a one-year period that starts on January 3rd every year. So every year we have a new session, okay? And then every 2 years we have a new congressional term. So every 2 years our representatives and senators are up for, well, all of our representatives are up for re-election, and only 1/3 of our senators are up for re-election. So every 2 years, that new election cycle, we have the beginning of a new congressional term. Senators and representatives, of course, they are the lawmaking individuals in the United States. You should know that we in Missouri have two senators. Everybody has two senators, but our two senators are Claire McCaskill, she's a Democrat, and Roy Blunt, he's a Republican. Your representative for the 8th district, and we'll talk more about those districts and the numbers and stuff like that later on, but your representative is Jason Smith. He's a Republican. The numbers, we have 100 senators in the United States and 435 representatives. We get that number 100 from 50 states times 2 senators equals 100 senators. And the number 435, which is the total number of representatives we have in the United States House, that was a law that was actually, or a number that was set by law by Congress way back in the early 1900s. So the salary, you're going to love this. Members of Congress make about $174,000 a year. Okay, now that's if you've just been elected to Congress or if you've been there forever. So in addition to that, if you are like the Speaker of the House, or if you are a majority leader in the House of Representatives, you're probably going to get paid a little bit more. So you could probably be looking at about $200,000 there if you were a congressional leader, which would be pretty nice. All right, moving on to voters and non-voters. We do have some people in Congress that do not have any voting ability, okay? Voting members of Congress, there are 535 of them. They each represent either a state as a whole or a specific district in a state. And then we've also got non-voting members who represent our United States territories and Washington, D.C. So, of course, Washington, D.C. is not a state. They have no voting representation in Congress. So they do have one person who is basically there as a representative that says, hey, I think this is a really good idea. We should do this. But when it comes time to actually voting on the bill, he has no response, or he has no authority. Okay, same thing goes for members or the representative from Guam, the American Samoa, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Northern Mariana Islands. And we'll look at all those different places on Google Earth to kind of get you thinking about where they are. All right, so starting off here with the House of Representatives, qualifications and terms. If you would like to be a member of the House of Representatives, you must be at least 25 years old. You have to have lived in the United States for at least 7 years. And you also have to be a resident of the district you're going to represent. Now some terms that you need to be familiar with for the House. We have a census, and the term census refers to the population count that occurs every 10 years. The last census we had was in 2010. And the census is really important because we have to figure out how many people are living in the United States in the specific districts so we can reapportion or redistribute the representatives based on the population of the areas in the United States. So, for example, if the population in my state goes up dramatically between 2010 and 2020, then I may gain representatives in my state to accommodate the change in population. If your state increases in population, but maybe it just doesn't increase as much as my state does, you could actually lose representatives because my state, which is getting so much bigger in population, has to have more representatives. So we'll talk about how all that works out as well. So redistricting. Redistricting is the process of redrawing district lines after reapportionment. So if your state gains or loses a representative, you have to redraw your district lines to reflect the change in representation. So looking now at this map here, as you can see, this is the Congressional Map as of 2010. So this is the 2010 census. The orange states here lost representation. Missouri is one of those orange states. The gray states, they didn't see a change in representation. And the blue states, like Arizona, Texas, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, they actually gained representation. This is the Missouri district map prior to the 2010 census. So this is what it looked like going into 2010. Notice down here, this is the 8th district. Here's St. Francis County. The big change between the 2010 map and the 2012 map is that this district that used to include Jefferson County and St. Genevieve County over here is now absorbed. Okay, so if we'll jump back here, St. Genevieve and Jefferson County and a little bit of St. Louis County used to be one district. But as a result of the 2010 census, that district was basically erased because we had to redraw our district lines because we lost a representative. Okay, so I will leave you with that today. If you guys have any questions, let me know.